My pranams to all the divine Atma Jyotis. I welcome all of you to Ganita Jyoti. I lead Vedic Mathematics Circle. In this video of MatheWizard trick number 14, we will understand the concept of square roots. Through this method, you will be able to find the square root of any perfect square. This video is the part 1 of the method where we will understand a few essential concepts. Let us begin. On your screen, you will find the squares of the numbers 1 to 50. In a few minutes, we will all realize some interesting facts. Let us start with 0. Notice how the squares that end with 0 are the squares of the numbers that end with 0. For instance, here you see that 100 ends with 0. And when does it end with 0? Only when the number itself has an ending 0. Let's notice if it's similar for 1. For 1, 2, the squares that end with 1 have the numbers that end with either 1 or 9. But you will notice that no squares end with 2 or 3. Coming to 4, the squares that end with 4 are of numbers that end with 2 or 8. And the squares that end with 5 are of numbers that end with 5 as well. The squares that end with 6 are numbers that end with 4 and 6. Again, you will notice that there are no squares that end with 7 or 8. Finally, 9. You will notice that all the numbers that end with 7 and 3 have their squares ending with 9. So, whenever you get a problem to find the square root, remember that the squares that end with 0, 1, 4, 5, 6, and 9 are perfect squares. What are perfect squares? Perfect square is an integer that is the square of any integer. For example, the square root of 9 is 3. This is perfect. So what is 2, 3, 7, 8 ending squares? They are all called as imperfect. What is imperfect square? An imperfect square is a number whose square root contain fractions or decimals. For example, the root of 20 is 4.5. That is 4 1 by 2. Therefore, it is not a whole number, and that is the reason we call it an imperfect square. With this method, you will be able to find the square root of perfect numbers only. And the easy way to identify perfect and imperfect squares is, first of all, to see whether they end with these digits or not. If they end with 2, 3, 7, 8, you can be 100% sure that they are not perfect squares. But if they end with 0, 1, 4, 5, 6, and 9, you can cross-check with a few methods that we will be discussing. But it does not mean that any number that ends with 0, 1, 4, 5, 6, 9 are perfect. As we have seen in the example root of 20, we saw that though 20 ends with 0, it is not a perfect square. To conclude all our realizations, here is a table where we summed up the last digits and the squared numbers. Here's a hidden trick as well. Let's look at this 1, where 1 plus 9 gives us 10. Now, 2 and 8 when summed give us 10. 5 and 5 give us 10 as well. So does 6 plus 4 and 3 plus 7. So here you see that they're all acting like complements. I hope all of you understood this concept well and that you will make sure to remember this table so that you will be able to solve these square root problems with ease using a method that we will be discussing in the part 2 of the same trick. Let us end this video with a quote. In the world of mathematics, everything is possible and nothing is impossible. Hari Om.